help the professor. The other thing I do is after class, starting at what your class ends about 1:45, I think. So
Yeah.
about 2 o'clock, I will hold a 2-hour workshop, which allows you to come in and ask questions or go over material again, anything that you didn't quite grasp or things that you want to smooth out some rough edges. That's what I'm there for. And you can ask me any of these questions and we can discuss. It's really kind of an informal thing. It's solely exists to give you guys an opportunity outside of class to get some help with homework and things like that. A little about me. I went through Cuyamaca College. I took Bio130 back in about 2012, back when we were just learning what cells were. And after that, I did my 2.5, 3 years at Cuyamaca. I transferred to San Diego State, and I got my degree in biology up at San Diego State. And because Cuyamaca was so instrumental to me succeeding, I wanted to come back and provide something to the students. And so that's where this workshop came from. So please feel free. You can come in whenever, you can leave whenever. It is not a mandatory thing for anybody. However, there is a 2-hour window starting from 2 o'clock till 4 o'clock for you to pop in and ask questions or just hear the material again if that's what you need. So hopefully we'll see you there.
Where do they find the website for that?
I'm going to have to put it in chat because I don't have access to the announcements yet. So once I do, or I can give you that link and you can put the announcements up. And then you'll just be able to click the link and come straight to the page from the Canvas announcements.
Okay, so you'll put that up before 2 o'clock today. So that
yes, I've already scheduled the meeting, so I'll while you're getting started in class here, I will just cut and paste those links and email them to you.
Okay. Sounds good.
Yeah, so feel free, come on in. Like I said, there's no mandatory requirement. It's relatively informal. You just show up when you can and you leave when you have to. All right. Good luck, everybody. We're all in this together pretty much. So looks exciting.
Anybody have any questions for Scott before we go on?
One of the things I can do, if you have a question that you would like to ask, but maybe not, you don't feel like you want to interrupt, you can always send me a chat message, and I try and keep an eye on chat. I can either answer your question directly, or if it is something that is probably a question a lot of people have, I can actually just ask that question for you if you would like. And that way you don't feel like you're interrupting the class. Although I strongly encourage you to break in and ask, pertinent questions of the professor while you're going along, because generally, if one person has a question, other people have that same question. So, sorry, I thought I'd throw that in there at the end.
Yeah, and we'll talk more about participation, active learning a little later when we go over the syllabus. Hopefully you all found the syllabus in Canvas. You've had a chance to look at it. I would like to share my screen with you, and we'll all look at the syllabus together. Now, can you all see my copy of the syllabus?
Yes.
Try to make it bigger so you can read it. Starting at the top, first thing I've circled in red some of the points that I'd like to emphasize. The first one is the URL for the textbook for this course. It's called Concepts of Biology. You click on that site and you can download it. You can either read it online or you can download it. or you can buy a copy of it, whichever you prefer, but you will need it for a number of the assignments during the course. Now, the second red circle is a note that all versions of this book have the same information in them, but depending on the version that you get when you download, the page numbers may differ from other versions. So if you have an assignment and it says, look in the text for page numbers so-and-so, you might go there and not find exactly what you're looking for, but look around, you will find it nearby. It's just that the page numbers have shifted in your particular version. So is that clear?
Yes.
Okay, good. The third circle is my office hour. Each Wednesday, starting this coming Wednesday, February 3, I will have a period of time. 40 minutes is all I'm allowed, but you can come, go online using that URL that you see there, the location. Click on that and we can have a Zoom session, and as many of you as who would like can join at the same time. So please, if you have any questions, any clarifications, any comments, anything at all you want to say to me, show up Wednesday at 3 o'clock. This box, red box, just points out that you need to log in at Zoom, and you obviously can all do that, have all done it. And your participation will be noted. One of the priorities for this class is to have your participation with me, with Scott, with each other. So we're going to encourage participation by awarding extra credit. And I'm still waiting to hear from the administration of the college how to award extra credit. So I can't tell you exactly what the extra credit will be for participating. I can tell you that it will probably add up to about 90 points over the course of the semester. And that will be about 10% of your total grade. And that could be the difference of 1 grade in your final score. So participation in this class will be important. And I encourage you to speak up whenever you have anything to say, and to respond to others in the class who have something to say. And I'll send you a notice when I know how much actual credit we can award each time you participate. Now, the second point here is technical and equipment issues. I have found in teaching this course on prior semesters that students frequently have computer problems. This sometimes happens when they're trying to log into a Zoom session, sometimes happens in the middle of an exam. They get logged out. And what I want to emphasize is that I am not an expert with digital technology. And in all likelihood, if you have a problem, I can't help you. But I'd like to be notified if you do have a problem. And I refer you to, if you're having a problem with Canvas, here's a number to call. If it's another kind of technical problem, you can call the help desk. And I've listed their phone number there and their email address. I won't be able to offer makeups if you have either a personal issue or a technical problem that you haven't been able to complete a quiz or a test. I can't offer makeups. So we'll just have to work around anything that you might miss. And as I said, I would like to be notified, however, if you miss something, and tell me the reason why. We're going to have a quiz on Wednesday. And you have a notice in Canvas. The quiz is already posted, but this quiz will be ungraded, but it will be typical of quizzes that will come later. In fact, the type of questions will be typical of both tests and quizzes. But the idea for this quiz is for you to test your equipment, make sure that you can take quizzes without interruption, and to expose you to the type of test, type of questions that I ask, and how they're administered. So the quiz, and most quizzes will be 10 minutes. They're very short, just a few questions, usually worth 10 points. So we'll have probably about 10 quizzes over the course of the semester, roughly one a week. And so the total number of points for the semester on quizzes will be roughly 100. So are there any questions about anything in this red box? Next red circle is about cheating. All of the quizzes and tests will be closed book unless indicated otherwise. And they'll all be time constrained. Quizzes will usually be 10 minutes or at most 15. There will be 4 tests throughout the course of the semester. Each test is a full period, which is 75 minutes. Now, the way I administer these, I make the test available all day on the day of the test. So for example, quiz 1 coming up on Wednesday, you will have all day on Wednesday to take that test. But when you log in, you will then have 10 minutes to complete it. After 10 minutes, it will log you out. So is that clear? You'll have all day to take a quiz or a test, all day of the day of that's announced. But it's time constrained based on the amount of time that I've allotted for that particular quiz or test.
So in other words, you have all day to start, but you have 10 minutes to finish.
Exactly. Yeah, thank you. And that is the end of the points that I'd like to emphasize on the syllabus. I just want to mention a couple of things that you'll find under assignments in Canvas. In addition to the first quiz, which will be on Wednesday, you have an assignment called Methods of Scientific Inquiry. That is due on Wednesday, and we'll discuss it in class on Wednesday. So it's due, I think, at 11 o'clock on Wednesday, and then we'll have that. You'll have your version of it, and I will share my screen with it. We'll talk about it on Wednesday and discuss the answers. Also in your assignments in Canvas, there is another one called Introduction to Biology. It's a worksheet. That is due a week from today, Monday the 8th. And again, it's due just before class starts, and we will discuss it during class on that day. Okay, I'm going to take the syllabus down. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And we're going to go over some slides. Oh, can you see? Welcome to biology.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, you should have a full screen view of it now.
Yep.
The first slide, I'll give you a minute to read that phrase, and then I'm going to ask you what you think it means. Okay, what do you think it means? Anyone, speak up. And when you speak, tell me your name so that I know you've spoken, and I encourage you to keep your cameras on so that hopefully I'll get to match faces and names before the semester's over.
My name is Don. I think that it means that it's making you think. Like when you say, that's funny, it's making your mind consider something that you may not have considered before.
Okay,
It's
that's how Don interprets it. Anyone else?
and Terrence speaking.
Terrence?
When they say the most exciting phrase is a little bit to go off what Don was saying. It's exciting when you start to wonder how things work. You observe a natural phenomenon and you start to wonder as to what's going on, or like the wheels in your head start to turn, so to speak, when you actually, that sort of leads down the path of discovery. Like you can't get to a eureka without first questioning the natural world around you. So basically, the saying is kind of a precursor, the beginning of discovery. That's sort of what it means.
Okay.
Zach here, sort of to go off of what he was just saying, is that while finding the answer is an important part of science, being curious, having that creativity to think about why is this happening is also a really big part of science. That's how we start the path to the answer.
Okay, good. Other thoughts? Anyone else have an opinion or an interpretation of this statement?
Perla speaking.
Say your name again.
Perla.
Perla.
Like Pearl.
I got it.
I would bounce off of what everyone else is saying as well, but instead of phrasing the discovery as an answer, I would say that it's pushing you to accept the discovery as like not exactly the end all answer, but to keep pushing for more information within the discovery that you've made, not necessarily an answer. Because that's what science is you have to continue questioning, and even if you think you found the answer, it may not really be the answer.
Okay. Anyone else?
So John here, and I feel like it's more of trying to keep pushing to discover more things, and not just to say eureka, just to stop at one point. I mean, that's what I think of it. It's just to keep finding new things and never stop learning. So.
Yeah, that's what science is all about. You never stop learning. Anyone else?
Dylan here. I think the best way to or one of the best ways to interpret this is to kind of go off the thing of, or the idea that science is never really easily determined just by like one kind of hypothesis or scientific method, like one theory. And instead of just saying, Eureka, I found it, when you think you have an answer to something, and then it actually leading to a whole bunch of different questions, like expecting something to go the way it's supposed to go, but then it actually leads to more questions. That's the whole point of this kind of quote, just to make you think more into something.
Anyone else? They're all good points you're making. Okay, well, let me say what my reaction is to this statement by Isaac Asimov. You didn't get what you expected. Had an idea, did an experiment, expected Eureka, but instead found something that doesn't make sense. And so you say, that's funny. Why did that happen? It shouldn't have. It reminds me of a genetics professor I once had about selecting for mutants. You always get what you select for, but you may not get what you want. And that's pretty much what this statement is saying. That Eureka is something you were selecting for. You didn't get that, you got something different. And so as most of you have indicated, you go on. And instead of pursuing your Eureka line of thinking, you shift to say, how can I explain this strange result that I wasn't expecting? Okay, shift to something else, how to prepare for this course. You'll be getting reading study guides, worksheets, and other types of homework. These should be used to lead you to the things that you should know. Some will be graded, others are not graded. Nothing that I have assigned so far will be graded. It's for purposes of your learning and our discussions. Not all the material that you'll be receiving will be covered by a lecture in class, but you'll still be responsible for it. The quizzes and tests that will be coming up will be based on the reading materials and materials covered in class. And so what should you study in preparation for a quiz or a test? Well, the slide sets, one of which we're going over right now, each of these slide sets will be put in your Canvas container so that you will have access for it. Also, each of our classes will be recorded. And I will send you the URL for each recording of each class so that you can review the class and exactly what happened in it, what I said, what you said, and you can reconstruct, along with notes that you've taken, you can reconstruct the entire session. You should also review previous exams, previous to the one you're studying for. Where it's relevant, you should refer to the textbook and the worksheets and study guides. So these are the materials that you need to review and study and know well in order to do well on quizzes and tests. What is biology? It's the study of life. What is life? Well, read the text, pages 5 to 9, and you will see what the properties that define life are, and that will be covered in the quiz that you will take on Wednesday. So we're not going to go over those properties right now. You will look them up for yourself in the textbook. Now, biology is a very broad field of study. And so because of that, it's broken down into smaller subdisciplines. There is a lot of overlap among these disciplines, but it's not unusual to hear people refer to their particular area of expertise. Instead of just saying I'm a biologist, they'll say I am a molecular biologist, I'm an immunologist, and so on. So let's go over these terms and see just what they mean to you at this point in the semester. That meaning may change as time goes on. So give me your name and tell me what microbiology is. Anyone want to hazard?
Terrence speaking.
Who?
Terrence.
Mike Terrence? Okay.
Yes. Microbiology is the study of basically microorganisms such as bacteria. Generally, that's kind of where it falls under, or even that's kind of, where I got the sense of like microbiology is the study of like, microorganisms, whether it be bacteria, or it's kind of also under the umbrella term kind of microscope. So I know it's a little simple, but
Yeah, good point. If you can see it under a microscope, then it's in microbiology. All right, there's another term over here on the right called bacteriology. Someone else, how would you distinguish bacteriology from microbiology?
Zach speaking. I would specify that bacteriology is specifically studying bacteria rather than bacteria, viruses, oh God, what are they? The water bears? I'm trying to remember what the scientific word is, but anyway, because all of that falls under microbiology, but bacteriology is specifically bacteria, just as virology is specifically viruses.
Right.
yes, like also everything like from plankton, which is like, probably falls under microbiology, or even marine biology, since, plankton is something in the ocean, everything from, and even like other microbes like, paramecium, zoan, or like all those different, those are like, just to name a couple of microbes that are probably studied in microbiology.
Yeah. Yeah. In general, if you need a microscope to see it, it would fall under the category of microbiology. Whereas, as you said, bacteriology is a sub-discipline of microbiology. It focuses specifically on bacteria. Genetics. People who haven't spoken yet, please, I'd like to hear new voices. What is genetics?
Dylan here.
Dylan?
Yeah. I'd like to say that genetics is kind of like just the study of variability between similar organisms, such as like inherited characteristics or traits.
Yeah. Okay, that's it. Study of genes, basically. And as you use the term inheritance, that's right. The hereditary traits controlled by genes, that's genetics. Immunology.
It's Angela. And it is, I think it's a study of the immune system, I believe.
Yeah, you're right. It is a study of the immune system. Someone already mentioned virology. It's a subcategory of microbiology, but specific for viruses. Botany.
Esteban,
Caesar speaking
uh,
here. Botany, I think, is the study of plant life, I think.
Yes, botany is specific for plants. In contrast, zoology.
Esteban here. Zoology is like the study of animals just in general.
That's right. Okay, molecular biology. Who'd like to tackle that one?
How's it going, Professor? It's Marcus.
Marcus, okay.
Molecular biology is kind of like the composition, I think, of like all the molecules that exist and like how they're put together, like the structure.
Anyone else have an opinion about molecular?
Dante speaking.
Say your name again.
Dante speaking.
Jonte, okay.
Isn't it the study of living molecules?
Used to ask out loud. I can't hear you clearly. What type of?
The study of living molecules or something.
Little molecules? Anyone else?
Hi, this is Casey, and I would just like to add that I think it's also the study of like how the molecules behave with one another. Yeah, but that was about it.
Okay. All right. That's a lot of opinions about what molecular biology is. It's sort of a broad general term. Could somebody mute their mic? We're getting some background here. But in general, these days, molecular biology refers to the large biological molecules, DNA, RNA, and proteins. And we will study molecular biology and those molecules in particular in a lot of detail later in the course. Then moving on, what is proteomics?
Perla speaking. Isn't that like the study of proteins and like their functions?
Yes, it's that, but it's actually more than that. With the modern technologies, you can now study all the proteins in the cell at the same time. And that is a very powerful way to approach function of cells and metabolic pathways. So proteomics is more than just a study of proteins. It's a study of proteins collectively and how they interact with each other. Anatomy.
Ariana here. I would say it's the study of the body, pretty much.
Okay, study of the body. Yeah. Anyone else want to add to that? Well, it is the study of the body, but in particular, the structure of the body. And anatomy could refer to either animal bodies or plant bodies. Ecology.
Hi, I'm Haley. Ecology is like organisms and how they interact with other organisms and their environment.
Yes, that's a concise way of describing it. Bioinformatics. It's a relatively new term. I'm just curious if anybody knows what it means. At this point, you will know later in the semester.
Israel speaking, I don't really know what it means, right? But I looked it up, and what I got from it is like it's like a computer. It I don't know, it's like it analyzes gene variation and expressions, or predicts genes and proteins and the structure of how they form.
You read it right off the web. It's the study, analysis of gene sequences. So now that we can sequence genes with great efficiency. So for example, the sequence of coronavirus has been done many, many times. And you use bioinformatics to compare sequence of one strain of coronavirus with another. You're comparing DNA sequences or RNA sequences. Pathology, what is that?
Hi, Sarah here.
Sarah?
Yes, hi. It's
Okay,
basically, sorry, it's basically like the nature of the disease and the cause behind it.
Yes, pathology refers to disease. And it can refer to either animal disease or plant disease. In fact, that's my specialty. My background is in plant pathology. Okay, we've done enough of these terms. Thank you very much for your descriptions. And we'll come back to many of these later in the semester as we go along. Now you're going to have a project that will be due late in the semester. It's on a disease called cystic fibrosis. You may or may not have ever heard of this disease. You'll know a lot more about it by the time this course is over. One of the reasons that the biology department here has chosen this as the focus of a project is because it's an example of how biological specializations are integrated and focused on one particular target, a complex disease. And cystic fibrosis is a complex disease. So for example, if you look at one of these boxes, eukaryotic cells and organs, structure and function, cystic fibrosis affects lungs. It affects pancreas, digestive system and enzymes, digestive enzymes. It affects metabolism, indirectly respiration and photosynthesis. And again, indirectly, it affects cell division, reproduction, mitosis, and meiosis. So all of these different types of study are relevant to cystic fibrosis. Proteins and mutations. Cystic fibrosis is a genetic disease. Mutations are critical for the disease to occur, and this leads you to genetic structure and transmission. Infection. Organs affected by cystic fibrosis are prone to infection by bacteria, prokaryotic cells. And the gene, the protein that is affected in cystic fibrosis is in fact a membrane protein. So the point here is that this is sort of background for you, it's context for you. When we get to talking about cystic fibrosis, you'll understand why that disease was chosen as a project for the course. Any questions about this? It may seem a little mysterious to you now, but that will be cleared up. Okay, biological sciences can be studied at many different levels, and they're just listed here. The molecular level, for example, glucose molecule. Plant cells make glucose as a result of photosynthesis. That's a cellular level. An organism, an example, saguaro cactus, an individual organism. A collection of saguaro cactuses is a population. And a community would be the cactus plus all the other species that exist in that ecosystem. Speaking of ecosystem, an ecosystem, as you pointed out earlier, is the interaction of living organisms with the physical environment. And here you see a rainstorm over the desert. And at the level of the globe, the planet, nothing is an island anymore. Climate change, what happens in one country affects what happens around the entire globe. So at the global level, the world keeps getting smaller and smaller. And here is a bottom line statement. Life on Earth evolved only once. From a single progenitor cell. And you think about that for a while. All the living things on this planet evolved from just one event. There's never been another start to life. And we'll talk about later in the course whether there have been other starts to life elsewhere in the universe. And it's an interesting topic for discussion. So subsequent to that founder event, that one single progenitor cell, life has taken on an infinite variety of forms. And yet when you take any one of those organisms, this variety of organisms that we can find on the earth, they have a common suite of characteristics. And that common suite helps us define what life is. I refer back to the fact that you will be looking at your textbook, pages 5 to 9, which will define explicitly what the characteristics of life are. Okay, any question about that? Any comments, any thoughts? What is a scientist? What does a scientist look like? This is mad scientist stereotype many of us think of when we think of what a scientist is. But look at this picture. Look carefully at these pictures and tell me does any of them look like a scientist? And if so, which one?
Yeah.
Alimira speaking. I would say none of them look like scientists. I was gonna say maybe the first one would look like she's a scientist just because she has like that white, how do you say it? Oh my God, I can't speak. The white, oh my God, the white.
Looks like it might be a lab coat.
Yeah, it looks like a coat, but I would say, but then I see books in the bag, well, I'm not sure. But the other one, I would say maybe the second one, but he looks like he's like a pharmacist. It looks like there's like medicine in the bag, but I don't know.
Okay, yeah, that's a good observation.
Jonathan speaking, it looks like all of them could be scientists. You never know. Never judge a book by its cover.
Yeah, this is Terrence speaking, and I agree with that. This kind of, I guess, is a trick question because yeah, they're probably just doing their hobbies and they're scientists.
Yeah, you don't know anyone's background. All of them could be scientists, but like, you know, just by the picture, it shows like.
Okay, anybody else have a thought about it? Some of you think individuals might be, others think all of them are. Well, as a matter of fact, these are all real scientists. And
oh my gosh.
So the point is that scientists come in all types of lifestyle. So just looking at a person doesn't tell you whether they're a scientist or not. Some scientists, matter of fact, some that I know very well are in fact musicians. They play in rock bands.
Definitely.
I forget what's his name. one of the band members from the band Queen actually, majored in I want to say like mechanical engineering or like one of those science fields.
Yeah, I didn't know that, but it doesn't surprise me. A lot of scientists that I know are also either artists or composers. Love to compose music.
Right. Zach here. Dexter Holland of The Offspring has a PhD in molecular biology, and he tours the world. So yeah, don't judge a book by its cover.
Does he make that relationship, introduce molecular biology into his music?
Kind of, actually. One of their songs, "Gotta Keep Them Separated," was inspired by his time in the lab where like he had to physically keep two chemicals separated, and it sort of grew from there. So yeah, kind of, yes.
Yeah, well, that's very cool. And I see Denise Nunez, you have your baby, and you're back.
Yeah, I can retake this class now.
Is everything going okay?
Yep, he's healthy.
Okay, Denise was signed up in a previous course and she had to drop out, but she's back. Okay, that I'm going to stop sharing. That is it for today. Like I said, this session has been recorded, and I'll send you the URL for this recording as soon as it's available. It takes a while for it to get processed, but you should get it later today. Does anyone have anything else to add or comment on before we stop?
Yeah, Caesar speaking.
right.
I accepted the Discord invite, but I accidentally didn't claim my email. So could you kick my name, which is Caesar, in there, and so I can join back?
Caesar. And what's your question?
I signed into the Discord invite, but I didn't claim my email, so I can't get back in there, even though my name is in there.
On the roster, you mean?
Yeah.
That's an unofficial, so that's not anything.
Yeah, I'll resend the invite.
Oh, okay. So there's nothing I need to do about that?
Oh, okay. Thanks.
Yeah, I made a Discord server for the students.
Okay. Anyone else? I remind you that at 2 o'clock, Scott will have a workshop. And let's see, I'm looking at the chat. Scott, did you put the URL in?
I didn't, because I was sending you an email, but I will do that right this minute.
Okay. All right, so I'll send you when I get Scott's website, I'll send that as an announcement to everybody. You can get it in your Canvas account. Okay, anything else before we stop?
Ariana here. I missed the first 2 minutes of class, so I wasn't sure what you were talking about. Something about dropping in whenever.
About what?
I was mentioning the workshops. They are not although I do have them from 2 until 4, it's not a mandatory thing, and there's no, you don't have to be there at 2 and stay until 4. It's informal. You come in when you can and you leave when you have to.
Okay.
Okay, I see you have the link for the Monday workshop is in chat. So you can all copy that if you like. I will copy it and send it to everyone. But that's the website. Is that specifically for just this one Monday and Wednesday? Or is that recurring, Scott?
That's a recurring. So every Monday, that link should work for the Monday, and every Wednesday, that other link should work.
Okay. All right, so everybody will have it. Anything else? Okay, well, I'm gonna stop recording.